guys, so today will be the start of the old lathe starting to come to life. This is going to be a work in progress. I'm gonna try to get as much of this done today as I possibly can. I'm already getting a really late start today, but I'm just gonna try to trek on through this and get as much of this done as I possibly can. And I got a lot of work to get done today, but it's still, even if I did get done, it still won't be done because I plan on painting it and making it look nicer and so on. So let me go over what I have here and what I'm going to be doing. All right, for those who don't know and haven't been watching on other platforms or watching the YouTube shorts of mine, I bought this lathe, this homemade lathe, a couple months ago. And I've been wanting to get a hold of a lathe and to add to my woodworking shop. And I had this motor here for a while now. And this motor is actually beefed up for something else. It's probably for like an exhaust fan. It's an industrial type of motor. This is probably way too big for what a lathe needs. It is actually a 1.5 horsepower motor. And it runs at 3,450 RPM at 16.4 amps. So this is really big for a lathe, but you'll see here in a minute what I did to kind of help this, or will do to help this out. This is an older motor, and this here is actually where you oil up the bearings for it. There's one on this side and one on this side. So this is an older bearing. This will also get painted. I'll probably end up painting the motor itself blue, and the spindle here will end up being a red along with this one, and the rest of it's going to be black. And so this is just something I got and I completely intended on doing some work to it. And here I plan on replacing this base here, just getting a new one on there. I'm going to have another piece of plywood across the face here. This will come off. There's going to be a piece across here to mount the VFD that I will be using to control the motor, along with the other electrical stuff and so on, and other slots for tooling and everything. So I'll go ahead and show you guys what I got here. This is the VFD that I'm going to be using for this motor. It's actually set up to go up to 3-phase 388 volt motors, and they're 380 volt motors. So it's a big, like I said, it's a big VFD, and it does have a variable dial here to be able to do just so. I don't have to wire this up. Everything comes in from the bottom here. I'll have to make some modifications for this, of course. Got the belt for it. This one just happens to be a 1/2x30. It just so happens to basically max it all out. Oh, but the VFD, it is a Huan Yang. It's a Chinese VFD, sadly, but it is. And this is the HY series, the 1.5 to the 2.2 kilowatts. And this is critical for your motor, so you know what size of VFD you need to get. And I needed this size of VFD because this is a 16.4 amp motor. So this is actually more than sufficient. I think 16 amps actually comes out to like 1.9, I think, or 2.0, somewhere in there. It's very close to 2. So a bigger VFD such as this, it's very critical. But yeah, I got a belt that will work. And I'm going to end up, this is what part of the system I plan on using for the pulley. I'm going to end up cutting this, the head off, forming this down to fit inside the chuck, be able to fit inside the pulley. And that way I can still run the set screw and all of that. And what's going to go in here is a little bit of a fab deal where I'll take this rod and I'll end up trying to get dead center of this and drill it out a little bit, drop this in and weld it on. And on the opposing side, I'm basically going to gouge it 2 ways, as deep as I dare. And this will go into that chuck this will be for smaller pieces. And then I'll end up doing basically the same thing with this plate, except I'm going to cut out a pad and drill 4 holes or whatever, 5 holes, whatever, around the diameter of it, and of course weld another piece, probably the other half of this, because this is a little bit long. I'll probably just cut it in half and weld it to the center of it, and probably recess the screws, and then use this inside the truck to have the base for the clamp, basically a screw on clamp for the pieces. I may do something similar with this, but I don't know yet. But wound up getting electrical stuff for it, switch for the VFD, a handy box cover, the wire I already had, Romex connectors, and of course the paint. Wound up getting it as well. And while I was at it, sorry, my workbench is a cluster right now. I've been working on other projects. I also went ahead and got a full set of chisels. That way I can go straight into working. But this video will not be about actually operating it, actually doing the chisel work and everything. This is not about that right now. This video is not. The next video on this will, because I'll be learning and everything. I be honest with you, I know minimal about a lathe. So this is going to be a learning process. Stick around. I have not decided where I'm going to start yet. So as soon as I figure out where I'm going to start, we'll jump right on into it. So figured to go ahead and just start taking stuff off and getting the panels and everything made up and ready to start taking apart. I'll start adding on to it. So I have I'm gonna be using a 3/4 inch for both spaces, for down below and the side there. So that's what I got here. Alright, so this is more or less temporarily in place. This dip back here, I decided to go ahead and raise that up on top of it instead of having it recessed up underneath the board. I gotta go ahead and drill this out from the bottom side and then go ahead and get the bolt set up back in there. And then I'll start working on this plate here. Alright, so I got my main plate here set up. It's temporarily on there because I gotta pull it off to paint it and everything. So I gotta put the VFD on along with the switch. May end up having the VFD on this side and then having the handy box over here like this. That way the VFD's out of my way as I'm working and be able to deal with it that way. So I'll go ahead and mark my holes for the VFD and go ahead and get it all set up and mounted. So I got the VFD mounted up here and the switch mounted up. I'm kind of glad I went ahead and had the VFD to the left, because I mean, if I'm going to be up here close to it, I don't want my lathe to accidentally bump the VFD. So I think having the switch over here, I'd rather accidentally shut this off than bump the settings on the VFD. Now I'm gonna go ahead and get this motor. Oh man, this is a heavy motor. I gotta get this mounted up here, and I gotta get the bolts. I wish I could replace this plate, because you can see it's pretty well ate up here. I want to replace it, but I don't have any flat steel. The piece that I do have, it's warped real bad, and I won't be able to use it. So that's next, and then wiring will be going on here pretty quick, and getting it all set up and whatnot. So we'll get to that shortly. So what I'm going to end up doing is taking this flat steel and get it set up down here. I'll cut it down to size, and probably right about there. And what I'm going to do is mark out my holes and drill and tap into this plate for the bolts, and that way I don't have to worry about having excessively large washers for these, because that's one thing I don't want to do. Yes, it's going to look kind of funky, but look at the freaking lathe. It's already looking funky and haphazardly put together. So, oh well, a little bit more ain't gonna hurt it. So that's exactly what I'm going to do, and go from there. So I'll go ahead and get this drilled and so on and tapped out. Now, what do you think about the lighting? This is so much better than what I've been doing out here. So as you can see, finally got the motor mounted up here. That plate's doing pretty good, I do believe. Pulleys seem to be okay. They seem to be a little bit off. We'll see how that works. So I'm actually kind of thinking about going ahead and firing this up, but I don't know what the RPM rating is for this spindle part, so I don't want to try it out quite yet. So now on to going ahead and getting this all wired up. All right, so I had the switch wired up. I got number 10 cables coming out, or wires set up in a loom, and be able to put straight into there. I'm in the process of trying to get this old connector off, and to be able to drill a hole through here and run it through. So that's where I'm currently at. So there we go. Let me show you what we got here. So I can see they nicely put the where to hook up the motor back there in the back. So I'll have to come in with that long one there. I'm not sure. I'll have to figure out where the power goes in up here. They are labeled, as you can see, so I gotta figure out where the power comes in. I sure hope that number 10 works on these. I just realized this is where it all is. The input is RST, UVW's input, output, I mean. So just on the other side of this terminal block back here. So this little deal just should just pop right on out like a grommet. So I have to cut this to be able to take the cable, or both cables. So let's go ahead and do that real quick. Man, was this a real pain in the rear trying to get some of this in there. So it's all wired up. Next is to power it on and see what happens and go from there. I'm pretty sure I'm going to have to do some programming on it via the paperwork here, but we'll see about that. Because I'm pretty sure, I don't know how this is going to go, so we'll see. All right, get my phone out of the way just in case something happens. Okay, nothing to the switch. So I got power to the switch. Let's see what happens. There. We got power. It is currently on. What is it saying? Okay. So I got it turned down all the way here. Well, not quite all the way. I turned it up a little bit. See what happens.
That's a healthy bit.
Oh no. Alright, so I'm having a hard time trying to figure this out. I want to get a hold of my father-in-law, see if he can come over and help me with this and try to figure out what's going on. There's still a chance that I may still have the wrong VFD because this is set up primarily for 3-phase. For whatever reason, they didn't specify that in the description of this. As it said, a 1-3 phase on this VFD, and so I would presume it would still work either way, but we'll see. All right, so I was gonna go ahead and jump to the truck and everything, but I want to go ahead and give you an update real quick. This has been a couple days. As you can see, the VFD is off and the motor will be off probably tonight. So the deal is that I don't have 240 volts out here to my shop, and for that, in order for that VFD to work, I have to have 240 volts minimum. They advertised it as if it was going to work as a single phase 120 volt. That's not the case. So I'm going to try to get a hold of a 1000 RPM motor and try to see if I can trade it straight out for this one here and see what happens. So hopefully I'm going to come across an electric motor here before long. So in the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and start working on the chuck items, and I'm going to go ahead and start with this and go ahead and just get this head cut off and start getting this set up to be able to fit inside that pulley shaft and be able to go ahead and get this set up and working for me. So let's go ahead and jump onto it. Alright, so went and got it ground down. I didn't feel I wouldn't bore you too much of this, so it slides in there pretty well. Alright, so that's what this is going to look like. And now I need to go ahead and make my attachments for here. All right, so this one's still kind of warm, but this one here is done. The plated one is officially done, except with the exception of painting it. I'll probably end up painting it, but I tried it earlier off camera, and it seems to come together pretty easily and pretty well. Whoop. And this is the little ratcheting deal that I got for this, so I may need it, I may not, I don't know. I went ahead and got it for the sake of trying to save a little bit of room, but I think this is going to hold on pretty good. This is the cleat deal. It's still a little warm. But this is the cleat system cleat deal I was talking about, where you press it from the other end, it'll kind of sink into the wood here and to grip it. So that's the idea of it. We'll go ahead and cut to painting. Alright, so painting is officially completed, and it is now time to start putting it together and trying it out. So let's go ahead and jump right on into it. So I was getting ready to go ahead and try this out, and I went and got this in there, went to tighten this down, the live end down, and whenever I did that, the bearing on this live end decided to just completely give up. So let's go ahead and I gotta go get this piece. Won't be able to get it till tomorrow, and let's go ahead and run and do that real quick, and I'll be right back. All right, so as you can see, this tailstock is not the one that was on here. I've been fighting this freaking bearing on here, and even the replacement one, I boogered it up, so I want to try to see what I can do about sizing it right. And so what I'm going to go ahead and try is let it free spin on here. Yes, I'm going to be losing the material here on each end, but it is what it is for now. So I'm going to go ahead and give this a shot. Something ain't right. Yep, okay. So, I don't quite have enough pressure on here, because I just noticed as I was going through here, it was moving a lot more than what I initially did. So, this head's not quite right, which I'll have to deal with. And this end is not quite right either, obviously, because it's just free spinning on this end. So as this is making a bigger hole, this end is getting more lax, so it's going to drop more. So whenever I go ahead and start making more videos with this, I'll go ahead and explain what I did with this live end. Because I gotta do a lot of research and whatnot on what needs to happen with this. So this won't be featured for probably a little while again, until at least I figure this out, because I don't like the way that this is set up currently. So if you guys want to check out, wait for whenever I feature this again and see how I did this, you're going to have to stick around. So if you want, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. If you want, go ahead and check out our Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and Twitter. They'll be linked in the description below. And I want to go ahead and jump onto the video verse. So this video verse, we're continuing on in Hebrews, and we're going into Hebrews chapter 11, verses 1 through 10. It says, "Now faith is the reality of what is hoped for, the proof of what is not seen. For by it is our ancestors won God's approval. By faith we understand that the universe was created by the word of God, so that what is seen was made from things that are not visible. By faith, Abel offered to God a great sacrifice than Cain did. By faith, Abel offered to God a better sacrifice than Cain did. By faith, he was approved as a righteous man, because God approved his gifts. And even though he is dead, he still speaks through his faith. By faith, Enoch was taken away, and so he did not experience death. He was not to be found because God took him away. For before he was taken away, he was approved as one who pleased God. Now without faith it is impossible to please God, since the one who draws near to him must believe that he exists and that he rewards those who seek him. By faith, Noah, after he was warned about what was not yet seen and motivated by godly fear, built an ark to deliver his family. By faith, he condemned the world and became an heir of the righteousness that comes by faith. By faith, Abraham, when he was called, obeyed and set out for a place that he was going to receive as an inheritance. He went out even though he did not know where he was going. By faith, he stayed as a foreigner in the land of promise, living in tents as did Isaac and Jacob, co-heirs of the same promise. For he was looking forward to the city that has foundations, whose architect, the builder, is God. And that's Hebrews chapter 11, verses 1 through 10. And thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see y'all in the next one.